What scares an EFT therapist most? Setting up an enactment and this vulnerability, and the other partner just slams the door in reactivity. We're going to get into it.
Welcome to the Leading Edge in Emotionally Focused Therapy with your hosts, Dr. James Hawkins and Dr. Ryan Rana. EFT is a dynamic model that humbles even the most seasoned therapists. Together, we want to come alongside you as you continually push the leading edge of your understanding and application of this wonderful model developed by Dr. Sue Johnson.
Good to be back with you again. Thank you as always for just allowing us to be a part of your journey in so many ways. We got, every now and then we get, whether it's emails, social media messages, or yesterday we got a nice little thank you card from, I don't know if I would say someone in the North Texas EFT community, just thanking us for this podcast, being with them. But what I'm thankful for is not just that you're thanking us, but that this matters, that you all are so committed that you just want people to come alongside you and join you because you know what you do is important and you care. I appreciate your heart of showing how much you care for your clients. Like, we haven't met your clients, but your clients are definitely blessed to have you. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate, we're talking about hard stuff today. Red lights off an enactment, which most people are can even preoccupy on happening. We're so scared that might happen. We don't even do enactments. So I just want to say thanks for your hardest cases. And when it seems like you're not helping, you still are. Just want to encourage us in that. If you attune with someone, if you have a loving response to someone's inner world, you're making a difference. They may or may not accomplish all their goals, but you're changing people's lives. So I want to say thank you for jumping into the fire with people and, at least being one person who validates someone's experience and shows them that they're worthy of being loved. So thank you for how hard you work with your clients.
For sure. All right. So red lights off enactments. Yep. Just recap. We did green lights off enactments. It's all loaded up. They're just ready to do it. Their attachment system is attuned, willing. It's ARE, accessible, responsive, and emotionally engaged.
Yeah.
Run it.
Yeah.
Just hold them in it, right? Yellow lights, the most common one of all. And it's just that little bit of mistrust. In the moment of mistrust, can I take in this moment? And can I really respond to my partner? And also last week, I appreciate Ryan saying, and maybe it's always been there, but I've never really thought about it this way, but learning to read the lights in your own system as a therapist. And I was just at a training recently, Ryan, I got to run it that way, like for therapists to know how do they notice a red light in them that says, don't go? How do they notice when it's a green light that says, yeah, let's go forward with this enactment, or we're in a good spot? Or how do they recognize the yellow light inside themselves? I hadn't thought about reading the lights in ourselves. I always keep looking externally and not really thinking internally. So that was good. But now we're red lights.
You did that in a training?
Yeah, a self of the therapist type,
I'd like to see
a one-off type thing.
You're giving me credit for that. I don't think I actually said that.
It may have been George. We'll steal from George.
I think it's you.
Yeah, really? Okay.
I think you, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty cool. I need to check that out.
But this one is red light off of an enactment.
Yeah.
So the person has done the first part, the share, and now this is the moment where it's like, what's going on with the other person? Are they going to respond? Sometimes you might see visual cues of where that person is, and it can show you a red light. Some visual cues that I look for is you'll see them almost like tapping their foot, like they're agitated and just waiting. The wringing of the hands almost. You'll just kind of see like this, like biting their bottom lip kind of look sometimes, or their eye gaze will not even be going towards the partner. They're like looking away, almost trying to contain their energy or disgust for what's going to happen in that moment. So that's just a little bit when I think about a red light. But now thinking about red lights in me, when I see those kinds of things, my body's like, oh no, that person is not available.
Okay.
That's what starts going off in me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just now, thankfully for experience, I don't want to just give up on the moment and pretend like something's not going on there. Maybe we'll get into the practicality of how to handle that. But just wanted to define and line out what a red light is.
Yeah. How
How else would you describe maybe a red light, Ryan?
I like how you said it in the opener there. It's a closed door or a slam door.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen the slides, and EFT trainers call it complete dysregulation.
Mm-hmm.
So they really lose control of sort of their emotional and behavioral experience in the moment, that would be a red light for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to go back a step if I could. Is that
Yes,
all
you can.
Well, I want to talk about why this was scary as we named the topic and we're sitting down with our mics and headphones and sound checking. I was just taking notes and, I want to maintain every every episode. I've done too many sessions at this point in my career. That, when something scares you, it's a great part of you. It does show that you care. It shows that you're working hard. It shows that you matter. That's what you want in a therapist. If I was going into a therapist office in a difficult situation in my life and they weren't a little scared of something, I don't want to work with them. So the fact that you're afraid a little is a good thing, not a bad thing. And then the second piece here, you asked me if I had a story. I always got a story.
Yeah.
This is back in the 90s when bungee jumping was the craze. All right. And so bungee jumping, it cost like $200, but I was graduating in 1994. And so for $19.94, you could bungee jump. So I'm like, that's a great deal. You can't pass up a good deal.
I can pass that one.
Until you get to the top of that tower and you're like, oh my God, I'm jumping. I'm not jumping off of here. Now get me out of here. I'm huge. He already got me got that harness on me and I'm tied in. I'm like, I'm done. And so the person was like, no, come on. You're all right. You can do this. You can do this. And so he was like, talking me into it. And that took a long time. And eventually I jumped and I survived. But that's a little bit what it's like sometimes to get someone into vulnerability and have them pass over a deep enactment. See, I think we feel complicit a little bit. We kind of talked them into it. We kind of set them up. And I think that's why, red lights can be so scary. You're nodding your head, yes. What are you saying?
Well, one, I just like the story that you set it up. I think you capture what the therapist feels. It's almost like the therapist is like, I'm the one that's hooking you in. I'm the one that's telling you this is okay. Yeah. I'm the one that's telling you that this is what you need to do. Yeah. And then the worst thing, even for the therapist, they should feel afraid. Like, did I check the cord? Is the safety equipment in place? Is everything properly measured?
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that would happen is I don't want you to jump off this and get hurt.
Right. And so it is pretty similar. There's a key difference.
Yeah.
That person on that tower is kind of responsible for the outcome. As therapists, we're not.
Ooh, that's good distinction.
We are going to do a lot of steps for safety, but end of the day, it really is their call. And sometimes a person having a red light, on a worst case scenario, a big hard red light to an enactment may be evidence to say, hey, maybe this relationship isn't for us anymore. And that's important data.
That's right.
Painful, but sometimes important. And that's not a loss on the therapist's part.
That's right.
If people start to break up through too many red lights, you actually have done them a service by making it clear that the ARE is no longer available for you. So now you're empowered to make a decision with what you want in your life.
Yeah. And I thank you for how you even broke apart like that, what we're responsible for. We might choreograph the moment and help the person share. And we're watching are we doing an enactment that's appropriate to their level of accessibility and vulnerability as much as we can, but not perfect. Because we're always trying to push it some. But then what Ryan is saying, we're not responsible for. I have no control over how the other person's going to respond.
Right.
I can't try and manipulate that. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't manipulate that because I need to see what's in them for their partner or partners. And if I don't allow that to be there. So here's one example real quick. I want to make sure. Like sometimes when one person's done the enactment, I made the mistake and I try and encourage when I do supervision with people. When the person shares, don't try and oversell it to the person that you want to respond. So in this really sweet, can't you see how scared they are? Like almost I'm trying to get you like, please. I want to point them to it, but almost like I don't want to set them up to. And what sweet thing would you want to say to this sweet moment with your partner? I don't know. I'm not going to ask what sweet thing do you want to say. That's why I need to guide them, but be a little open. So what's happening in your body right now on behalf of your partner as this fear comes up, and leave it kind of open in a way and see what comes. Or when Ryan just said, and I don't want to go too far off track, of me not allowing the moment to happen, completely not doing enactments, not even bringing notice to what's happening in the room. So, I just wanted to throw that part in there real quick for a moment.
Yeah.
Good distinction.
Yeah. So that complicitness it is scary because I've set you up here, and maybe I don't want to do that. But, back to Sue Johnson, no risky, no gitty. She said it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I've got to take that risk. I've got to be willing to jump in there with them and say, what if it doesn't go well? And I'm like, all right, well, we're going to have a plan for that. But what if it does? That will be the biggest tragedy, is the person had some love to give and we didn't take the chance. And that would be an even bigger tragedy.
Thank you remember we wrote that article with George and Charlie on loaded attunement. This is that moment where we need to be aware of the potential threat. But I appreciate what Ryan just offered you was, but if we keep avoiding this, we also avoid the hope, the love, the change, or the comfort in vulnerability or success in vulnerability. We'll probably talk some more about this and maybe come back and get a little bit more practical after this break.
Sounds good.
Do you like the content that you're hearing on this podcast? Well, we invite you to join us on successandvulnerability.com along with George Fowler and other EFT therapists and supervisors, where you get more thorough insight into these concepts and actually get to see it done. Once again, join us on successandvulnerability.com.
So thinking about how these red lights happen, I think this is important. And I've actually never talked about it this way until last podcast. So there we go. We're learning. So I'm working on one side. We're deepening. I've got a deep enough emotion where it's a mission type enactment as opposed to a testing type enactment or some other kind. And there are many kinds. But we're in a deep place. And so what happens for the responder's body just before they do a red light? So another metaphor. My father was a Marine in Vietnam. And so he used to tell lots of Vietnam stories, and I ended up watching lots of Vietnam movies. And so when you watch soldiers, that was U.S. soldiers. I know people listen all over the place. But anyway, U.S. soldiers in Vietnam, they would take one small step at a time. They're creeping through the jungle. And one of the things that they're looking for is either a hidden bomb or an ambush. Right. And they space out to prepare for such a thing. And that's what I think happens in the body of the responder just before a red light. Their body doesn't code this depth as an invitation, as beautiful vulnerability. Their body, their neurology codes this is a trap. I'm about to be ambushed here. And so they come out fighting. Not because they don't think of themselves as being the oppressor. They're feeling oppressed. And it gets into the subjectivity of power right there, which is a whole nother discussion, which could include, culture and marginalization and all kinds of things. But for today, I just want to keep it simple as this fresh and deep emotion feels like an ambush, feels like a trap. I got to come in with guns loaded.
Yeah. Thank you for locating. Because one, what Ryan just did, I hope will load you with some more empathy to help you stay with the red light responder and not immediately want to blast them or judge them or shame them.
Yeah.
They're just a person that's needing your help. Or as Sue taught us, and Sue, Leanne Campbell, and Catherine DeBruin all kind of gave a similar answer when we asked them around reactivity. That reactivity is just showing you there's fear and pain there that needs to be distilled. It just happens to come at a moment that, like you said, Ryan said, it comes at a moment where we feel complicit for what happened to the person who just shared.
Yeah. And most of the time I reference Dr. John Gottman. I might be contrasting some of his style, but I'll agree with him here. Sometimes it's also just a math thing. That was his big push when I trained with him. It's you can use math, and it's true. So this person who's responding, if we had a scoreboard at home, the last 500 times they were invited in, how did it end? The last 500 times they see their partner's pain and they come towards them, how did it end?
Painful.
And if 487 times everything gets worse, they get criticized, they get pointed out, they get blamed, then the body is going to be coding that differently. It just makes sense. So because of that, the fact that they called you, they are saying our math is not good. Because people that have good math meaning it goes well. When we try to go towards pain, it goes well. They're calling you because they're saying our math is not good, man. We have a 6% success rate. So therefore, when it's time to bond, they see that as a danger cue. So therefore, the therapist, we have to change our expectations. We have to expect red lights. Be prepared for red lights. And do what you got to do to get yourself to be there. For a lot of us, myself included, it doesn't take too long to figure out which clients are more likely to give you red lights.
Mm-hmm.
They can sometimes surprise you, but most of the time you're like, these folks are struggling. So, take a breath, say a prayer, whatever you do, however you ground yourself before you ever go get in front of them. And then, so pre-session and even pre that moment, just before you leave the emotion to go for the enactment, get an inhale, get yourself ready, get your toolbox out a little bit, not to lose presence, but,
I know what you mean.
Be ready in that moment. And that's another Seuss thing. When these red lights happen, the first thing is you have to ground yourself. So take a deep breath, right? Find a way to regulate yourself, whether it's whatever it looks like for you. It's a spiritual thing or a relational thing, however you ground yourself in the moment, because this is where your clients need you most. We need that active, stronger, wiser other to keep us from doing harm.
I like it, Ryan. Thank you for that. About the first thing for your red light, even though you feel complicit, ground yourself so that way you can be the stronger, wiser other for the person who just shared and the person who's kind of in this moment of reactivity.
Yeah. And if you can hold on to, this is just part of the process. Hitting red lights off enactments is part of this. This is just what I'm trained to do. And then also, red lights don't actually, they're not an indicator of the future. Really successful couples still red light each other. So the fact that this has happened in your office doesn't mean you're doomed or this relationship can't work. It just means right now we're stuck in these places. So I think if you can train yourself, then it keeps you in this sort of flexible pivot mode.
Okay. Wow. There was something I was going to go with on that. So I think, do we switch focus now maybe for a minute to Ryan to, let's get practical now. Red lights happen. What do we do? I'll start off with 1 point for sure, real quick. And I hope I'm applying this right and want to give Lisa Palmer Olson her credit. One of the things she said, the tendency as an EFT therapist, and we need to do some of this, we'll want to immediately, one mistake can be, is when this starts happening, another person that's sharing red lights, we automatically turn towards the person that's being hurt and start almost apologizing and nurturing them for just kind of getting hit here maybe. But she said that's a great instinct and it's a good instinct. But what we need to do is if the person who's red lighting actually needs us to come towards them first, we've got to go meet that energy and the reactivity for them to slow them down just enough to where it's like there's no more maybe harmful words or just energy coming out in that moment. You got to stop the firing in a way, right?
Yep.
Then once you get this firing stop, say, I'm going to come back to you. Give me 1 minute. And then in that 1 minute, I'm going to steal from one of our EFT supervisors here in this area, Carrie Ann?
Craig?
Craig, there we go. Yep. Where she says, and I love the term, if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, she says, you go bubble wrap the person who just shared.
The sender.
The sender. And I love that when she says the term bubble wrap, because it does fit what my nervous system wants to do.
Yeah.
It's like I know you're in a very delicate, fragile situation.
At my leading.
My leading.
Yep.
And what she does is bubble wraps the person. And the bubble wrapping can come over in just one. What I love that she'll do, and taking from Elisa a little bit here too. Hey, thank you for what you just did. I know I asked you to do something that was really hard and that was really big. And I thank you for being able to go there and give voice to this part of you. And I know that that's something that normally, and this is where we'll blame the cycle. The negative cycle normally doesn't let you get clear like that and send those messages. And then we got to be evident. Sometimes, depending on where you are, I might say this to a client. And the thing you feared happened right here.
Okay. Call it out. Yeah.
It happened right here. And I know that. But that's just because the negative cycle has been so encoded into both of your bodies till it's hard to do this. So thank you. And I appreciate your partner's response. So I need a few moments to go over there and check on them to see what the negative cycle sent over to them. So thank you for what you just did.
Good language. That's better than the language I have.
Really?
I'll take some notes on that one. Yeah.
So I'm blaming the negative cycle as the key part. I'm being explicit about what happened because if I'm being honest, here's the mistake I would make, Ryan. I didn't want to acknowledge what just happened because I felt like I didn't want going to.
Because you failed.
I failed, and I don't want them to lose hope.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, look away, look away, look away. I'm being a withdrawer right
Yeah.
now. Look away. Nothing bad happened to everybody, but that doesn't go well. That's just not fair to them, and it's not fair to me as a therapist either because I'm not being true to what just happened.
Yeah. I love that phrase. So it just happened right now. Your worst fear. I love calling that out because of what it implies to the other person.
Oh, yep, that's right.
That's a little bit of a wake-up call.
Lisa kind of taught me that one.
A little bit of a wake-up call. I like that move.
Because it gives their nervous system to see, like, ouch, I did it again. I did that.
Yeah.
And they get to be witness to it without blame.
And they may not even know they've done a red light.
Bingo.
They may just think they're telling their side of the story.
Yep.
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 I like that.
And sometimes all I have to do is say, jump in like, ooh, oh, ouch, hold on a second.
I like ouch too.
Y'all are both doing so good, but I got to jump in. So anyway, there's that. That's what that point of that move is. Bubble wrap. And then when you bubble wrap, your job now is to go back towards that person. And this is something I did learn from Ryan. Hope I'm getting this right, Ryan. I do use that kind of what we taught you in yellow lights with the parts work. Hey, I know there's a part of you, and be really small, that probably wants to be able to do this. You want it to be different. But there's another part that you just let me see. Your body, like, depending on what they've said, then I'll call out their reactivity in the nice way. Like, your body is telling me, like, something's scary here, something's big here, or you're hearing it differently. So can I slow down and understand what happened in your body right there in that moment as you heard your partner? I want kind of the trigger and the kind of what came, the message inside their body. And then if you can work with that, then you can convert and they come down out of the red light. So the way we've learned is red, walk them down to a yellow. If you can get them out of the yellow, hopefully to a green. That's a real simple kind of overview and outline. I hope I didn't confuse y'all too much, but just trying to walk through that process.
No, I think it's good. I was in Montana last year teaching red lights at Core Skills in a demonstration that was about to go to role play. And someone said kind of in a frustrating voice, you know, remember this?
I remember you telling me about the exercise. I want to hear about the story some more.
Well, this was just someone said, you know, it was a little bit of it was a somewhat playful, but a complaint saying, oh, you make it look easy. And I'm like, okay, that's my fault.
Okay.
If I've made this look easy, that's not me. I'm not communicating very well because I'm definitely not saying this is easy. But then they came back and they're like, no, but you red lights don't seem to scare you as much.
Oh.
And that's true because I really trust the parts work and that there's attachment somewhere there. Right. And all I need is 1%. That's something I want to say on this episode. That's all you need. 99% blocked person is a win. That's not even a red light anymore, right? So you don't need people to be 80% open, especially the first time we get into these deep places that we don't trust. We've had this big red light. If I can part them out, as you like to say, if I can find 1% that they can talk about and maybe send back over, that's a huge win. I'm much more bothered if I can't find some juice, like if I can't get energy, if I can't get depth, if I'm getting blocked everywhere, that bothers me much more in my body. When I get a red light, I don't want to say I like it. It is scary for me too, but I have such confidence that because they called me and because they've told me my goal is to be close with this person, that I can work a while and find that 1%. And 1% is plenty.
I agree with you, Ryan. It's like I would admit in the beginning part of my EFT journey, the red light scared me more. Now I'm more triggered by no energy.
Yep.
That will activate me to no end because giving me the red light energy is at least showing you where the cycle needs your help.
Yep.
It's almost the image that comes up for me. It's like, you know, like a person comes into the emergency room and the doctors know they're bleeding out, but they can't find where the bleed is coming from. And even though you could look on the outside of the person like, oh yeah, everything's okay, but maybe there's some vital sign or something that's saying like, no, this person is having some internal hemorrhage. So it might look clean on the outside, but it is havoc on the inside. We've got to find it.
Right.
That's what the red light gives me. It gives me at least they're bleeding out and I'm getting to see where we need to go and make the surgical repair.
Yeah.
So that's a reframe in a way.
And when the blood isn't just coming from nowhere.
Yeah, that's right.
It makes sense. There's some kind of context here. There's some kind of journey. There's something painful here. And I think what's key is when you go into those parts, being open to all the possibilities. There's this wide continuum, you know, all the way over here to them going to break up, which I'm not doing this anymore. It's like, okay, hey, I appreciate you holding your truth. What I hear you say is there may be a time where I could show up for you, but those days are over and I can't do this anymore. Is that what you're saying? So if I can relax into that place, now I'm not so afraid of it. Right, all the way across the continuum to the other side where a red light goes all the way back to green, which happens fairly regularly.
That's right.
And if I can be ready for anything across that continuum, this becomes not so scary.
I like that, Ryan. And still staying in the realm of trying to give more kind of practical interventions. I had to do this one yesterday, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's in the red light. Maybe it's a high yellow. I don't know what that means, but anyway, the withdrawing partner shares about some pain. This is also an affair recovery situation. The partner that's been injured and is also a withdrawer does kind of let some of their pain out. Has a little edge to it. I would even say it felt like a yellow light share. It's kind of like I'm trying to invite you and let you in, but has a little twinge of blame to it. But it's good enough for them. Like you said, it's not 100%, but it's definitely better than what they do, because normally they just stuff it, hold it in, don't let it be seen. The other partner receives it, and immediately I could just feel like their lips started trembling, and they just started kind of like looking around like they were and it's like, and the defensiveness just starts coming out. Like, I don't know how long we're going to do this. How long are we going to be here? Like, you're never going to ever forgive me. It's like, you just hate me. Aren't you done with this? And by the way, you're still not wearing a wedding ring. And just like boom, boom, boom. It just starts rolling out. Like, oh boy. Hey. Hold on. Look back at me. Look at me. And I got to get their eye contact back, just even for a nervous system regulation.
So pause. I just want to highlight that, how important that move is. Because I see beginning therapists who think that they're supposed to just go for the emotion. Okay, so you're feeling so distressed, and that's out of attunement. You got to get it contained. You got to take over the session for a few minutes when they start to lose control.
Got to.
Have to.
And what I saw for him, and I can't remember who taught me this, whatever came from it, all I said is get his eye contact back on you, James.
Nice.
Don't let him keep looking at his partner. She's already dysregulated in vulnerability. This is one we got from Leanne on this podcast before. Turn his energy towards you. You can absorb it. And so I do have him turn towards me. Hey. I really appreciate it. Now, this is almost Sue coming in. Like right in that moment, what Sue would so beautifully could do is she would take the reactivity and track it out right in front of them. Well, let me see what I'm seeing right here. Like right here, your partner shares, and I did hear, and I get it. Part of that message invites you in, but a part of it is the message of the old cycle that blames you. I know. And I said, I know that's maybe not what you meant, but I can get how that hit you. But right when it hits you, boom, your body lights up and you start looking and this and that. And then like, I know there's a part of you that wants to be with her, but then this other part of you, it's saying what is it? What is your body picking up on, or what is it trying to do? And it was, how long is she just going to be angry at me and never forgive me?
Right.
Like, I want to know how to help her, but if I go towards her when it's calm, she blocks me out. If I go towards her when she reacts, she's going to blow me up. Oh, so wait, hold on. So even right here, you get like this mixed message from her, and you have no idea what to do. No idea what to do.
Nice.
So I don't know if this is what it was for you. It's like your body panicked right there. And you start asking all these questions, and are we over? Wedding rings, all this stuff. It's like your body freaks out because you don't know what's coming. If you open up and respond to her, you don't know what's coming. Because in the negative cycle, y'all haven't been able to do this. This is brand new.
Right. So I just want you to notice as James kind of demonstrating role-playing there, some really important things that he did. Going back, I apologize, but it's really important. I wish I'd have had this language early in my career. When you're on that red light and you activate, before we try to go deeper or just go into the pain, which is important later, get the client to bring the red light energy to your body, to get it off of the partner's body. That's such a key move. I can't highlight that enough. Get it coming to you and off of them. And then as you are, what are you doing right there? You're validating, you're reflecting, but notice James's tone. It implies heavily what just happened does make sense. There's a journey for you. This is difficult, right? Which is very, very de-shaming, which is a great way to help them start to regulate their emotions and come back towards a pace and a speed that's workable. So I just want to comment on that for the listeners.
No, that's good. And then the last move, if I'm going to add one, was to make sense of the defensiveness. Because this defensiveness right here, if I'm getting it right, if I'm hearing you in the context, it's really trying to not just defend yourself, is you got to defend this relationship. It feels like if you can't succeed here and you're going to always be blamed, things are going to, and I know this couple's language, so that's why I could kind of conject that. I know that's a big conjecture in a way. And what it was, it's in the moment is I also, to make it clear, I needed to make the reactivity, put it in attachment context for the person who was the sharer. Because for her, the defensiveness is because it's always been, you get defensive because you're selfish and you don't care about my pain and you don't want to own up to what you did. But also what she needed to see is another message that comes out of the defensiveness that was for this partner was part of the defensiveness was, I don't know how to get it right. I feel like I'm going to fail. And if I keep failing and I can't get you to see good, and so I keep getting invited into these traps and my body just freaks out. But anyway, maybe that's a whole another big part. Don't want to get off this red light part for a moment.
Well, and as you're trying to, unload the gun, so to speak, over the red light, I mean, you're looking at their body language. Are they softening and slowing?
That's right.
Or are they staying fast and strong? The more they're staying fast and strong, we got to stay in an assertive place.
That's right.
We have to find the good reasons for what just happened.
That's it. That's the main part right there. The good reasons for what just happened. And then when he was able to find it, then in that moment, it's either there's two choices you can have. You tell me about this, Ryan. I feel like I'm at a choice point. So now if they slow down and they open up some, I can have them, I want to see if I can get them to, one, go back to this is finished the mission stuff, by the way, y'all now. Because now somebody did just share and they haven't gotten a response necessarily from their partner. They're still bubble wrapped. Can I take the bubble wrap off of them and allow the partner now? Can they speak to that person? Like, I do see your pain and hurt. My body freaked out because I didn't know what to do, but I do see it. That's one type of enactment. Or it's something like they could just enact their reactivity. What I mean by is I got reactive right in that place because it took me back to the place where I normally just don't know what to do. At least they're being honest and owning what happened for them and not just putting it on another person.
Yeah, it's good. And what we don't want to do in those moments, which I've done before and I've seen beginning therapists do, is this is not a teaching moment, right? You don't want to get into, I don't think you heard your partner. Right. Or you need to validate them. Like that's way, 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 way away from their experience. Not helpful. Even if they could, it's going to feel so artificial. That's going to be even probably triggering to that partner. That's not so much helpful.
And if you felt any shame around that, the moment Ryan started saying it, I pulled up the cases where I've done that.
Yeah, me too.
I've just tried to re-explain like, okay, let's try again. So what they said was, and like I repeat it back, like all of a sudden they're supposed to get it. So I'm just confessing to that.
But I think it is important to not judge what you can find. If you can get any empathy at all, even if it's just something like, well, this is ridiculous, but I guess I am sorry that you feel sad. Enact it. That's not where we want to finish, but that's a great place to start. That's still a conversation they don't have at home. So even if it's just little bitty, slightly just a touch of yellow-green, that's still life. It's still oxygen. It's still that 1% that we can start with because we trust that attachment grows once we can start getting in the attachment channel. And then we also want to be ready if you can't, all the way to a full breakup, which doesn't actually happen that often. But definitely what does happen is some people are in a place where they're saying, I'm not doing this today. So tell me about what you think about then.
After the breakup part or?
No, like at the part where you've done your parts and they block again. You've done your parts and you block again.
Oh, yeah.
You get that fifth or sixth block and you're like, all right, what are we going to do now?
All right. Could you just even say right now, like, I can see that you're hurting, but I just can't respond today. My mind just can't make that jump.
Yeah. So we call that a ditch enactment or a ditch response, which we've had previous episodes on. I don't know what number that is.
I didn't put the list in front of us today.
Yeah, this is something that came about through different places. We don't have to tell the whole story, but some response is still better than none. Attachment 101. To be left alone and silenced without a response is a worst case scenario for any mammal. So what I want to do is to find some attachment reason why they can't be there before we leave and go open something else. And by attachment reason, what I actually mean is a pain reason. I'm exhausted. I'm feeling so hurt. I'm feeling misunderstood. So again, it's not my favorite enactment, but it's certainly worthwhile. So what I'm hearing you say, James, is that maybe you care about Nicola, but today you are feeling so exhausted and misunderstood that I can't do my part today. Is that what you're saying? Can you turn right now and can you tell her? Can you say, look, I care, but today I can't do my part because I'm feeling exhausted and misunderstood. Can you tell her that right now?
That's good.
And I never did. I didn't do that for like 15 years, 12 years. And I so wish I had, because if you just leave that part disintegrated, the number one, the red lighter may not even fully realize they didn't do their part. So you can notice a little bit of tension I'm putting on at the end there. You didn't do your part today.
Yeah.
So I'm not shaming you with it. I'm actually giving you a rationale for the good reasons you had to not do it. But I do want to leave a little bit of tension for your body to realize I didn't respond to my partner's pain today. Mm-hmm. And the sender, it is helpful to hear that they did not respond because they don't care. They're responding because they're bleeding over here today.
Mm-hmm. And the therapist took the burden on to highlight that things didn't go the best in a way, right? Like, and what came up for me is, I know sometimes within EFT circles, people can say, well, EFT doesn't hold people accountable. What Ryan just showed is, and he is holding the person accountable with an attachment compassion, but he is being direct. Yeah. We can't do it. You're not doing it. I see what just happened here. Even with Lisa teaching me that saying, ouch, that's all a form of like gentle, compassionate challenge and confrontation, but with an attachment understanding. Yeah. It's not because you have some label, some cultural label or whatever. Yeah. It's you're a person who's exhausted, tired, mistrusting, been beat up by the negative cycle. You've been duped here before. You know, all these kinds of things, right? Yeah. So
if the sender's in a very deep place and I work my 5 or 6 efforts at trying to get some empathy online and pass back and I can't get it, I'm looking for a pain reason for them to enact back that they cannot, which we call a ditch enactment or a ditch response, meaning it's a last ditch effort or like ditching a plane on a highway versus a runway. So one of the most common questions I get, and we're running short on time, is what do you do next? Yeah. And so for me, just throwing a couple ideas out, it depends on where you are. If you look up and the session's over, then I want to tango 5 it and just say, hey, man, that was hard work today. Mm-hmm. And I know it wasn't a perfect result, but I so appreciate, I'm getting more clear on how you all get stuck and what the cycle does to you. The cycle won today. So I know where we are. We're going to come back and, jump in this next week. Or if there's plenty of time left, a red light is a live trigger.
That's right.
Okay. So after I finish my work with the sender, I can go back to the red lighter and go find what the live vivid somatic trigger was in this session and start right into an assembly or a temp moment, which can be really productive.
Great ways to take that, Ryan. And I love that language of in moments when there's a red light, go get the pain reason. That's a great reframe, and it's true. Mm-hmm. And it's a good way to give you a great target as a therapist.
Now, and it's very validating because what it implies is you're not a terrible person and you do love your partner. Right, if that's the goals that they've stated. Mm-hmm. So if you're not doing your part today, something's hurting you. Yeah, that's right. It's there's respect given that can open doors.
And I might even say that so explicit. I like that, Ryan. If defensiveness comes up, I might say, "Hey, can I just check in with you? Your body wouldn't defend that way if it didn't get some kind of pain. Every human body protects itself from pain. Yep. So can I find the pain point for you?" Or if it's just reactivity, maybe from a pursuer body or whatever, like, hey, you wouldn't scream ouch like that or react like that if something didn't press a pain button for you. So I need to find what pressed that button in here to help you. So that way we can help you. One, I think there's a part of you that does want this to be different and wants to be there for your partner. But when this pain button gets hit, it is hard for you to do that because you're a human being. It's hard to comfort somebody while you're hurting at the same time.
And yet I also want you to know that while it makes such good sense what you just did.
There we go.
When your partner puts their heart out and you can't show up, the cycle takes that and quadruples down and everything runs faster. And what it teaches your partner to do is to take their self even further away from you. So I wonder if we can slow this down and team up against this cycle and see if we can make this different.
Great sentence to add on there, Ryan, because I showed the pain reason. Ryan also showed that pain impact. So good stuff, Ryan. Thank you for this. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you for listening. We hope this experience helps you push the leading edge in your work to help people connect with themselves and with each other. Please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a 5-star review. You can contact us at pushtheleadingedge@gmail.com, and you can follow us on our Facebook page at Push the Leading Edge. You can follow Ryan on Facebook at Ryan Rana Professional Training and on his website, ryanranatraining.com. You can follow James on Facebook and Instagram at DocHawkLPC. You can also check out his website, dochawklpc.com.